Mr. Speaker, thank you. Why don't we start with a positive? We all welcomed the good news of the school announcements in this province last week. Now, to that, there are a lot of school boards and communities, I think we're aware, that didn't get any news. The Wildrose's 10-year debt-free capital plan would do that by delivering 100 schools and renovating 60 more, and more importantly, by publishing a priority list so that communities don't have to wait with bated breath to find out if they're going to get a school. Will the government then finally adopt the Wildrose policy, release its priority list for new schools, and take the politics out of the classroom?
Minister of Education.
What
yes.
I can tell you is
yes.
we won't adopt the Wildrose policy of reducing our capital bill to schools by 30%. As they mentioned when they launched their capital brochure, they said 30% of the schools we're building today aren't needed. I wonder which ones those are, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to see that list. Is that the schools in Airdrie? Is that the school we just announced in Okotoks? Is that the school we just opened in Langdon?
Good little exchange there, thank you. First supplementary, please.
No, Mr. Speaker, I did start with a wonderful positive.
Notice.
Mr. Speaker, to the same minister. Given that students in the Star Catholic Division were among the many communities who will not be receiving new schools, given that their board chair is saying they've been left out of the loop for what criteria is at play when it comes to project approval, can the government explain why they insist on keeping school boards across this province in the dark, like the one in Leduc, and get to publishing a list so we all know what's going on?
Mr. Speaker, you know, it's a very good question. There's a lot of school boards and parents and teachers and kids out there that want to know, is our school going to get funded? How do you guys decide on these lists? The reality is we've got over 2,000 schools in the province, Mr. Speaker. There's also a number of modernization projects on the go. Besides that, there's modulars. If you wanted to keep an inventory list of all those projects and which one was coming up next, you need an entire bureaucracy just to keep that up on a day-to-day basis. Nevertheless, our guys do the best they can. And, Mr. Speaker, school boards change their capital plans every year and even during the year. So this thing is just an impossible thing to keep a list of 3,000 projects. How big do they want this list to be?
Good answer. Honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, when adjustments are needed to be made on a list, I don't think anybody would begrudge a school board for making them. And another positive, I think we all recognize we can't build all the schools we need. But given that, we should be doing all we can to allow boards and communities to prepare for the future. Will the minister commit to contacting the boards who did not have their projects approved and giving them some feedback so they know where they are as a provincial priority and can in turn plan for the kids and the families in their community?
Mr. Speaker, we do that on a day-to-day basis. I talk to school boards every day. I talk to board chairs, superintendents, the business officials. As a matter of fact, we just met with all the stakeholders yesterday when we launched the dual crediting and the new ministerial order. Mr. Speaker, this is ironic that we've got a group that's advocating for us to build more schools when they said they were good 30% of the schools we're building don't need to be built. In addition, their alternative budget last year wanted us to cut our infrastructure budget by $1.623 billion. That's a very specific number with no list. The year previous, it was $2.74 billion. That's a very specific number with no list. Mr. Speaker, I think they should look themselves in the mirror.
Honourable member Airdrie.